At 19, she was forced to marry a millionaire cowboy, but his wedding gift silenced the whole town. Silver Creek, summer, 1830. The summer heat pressed down on Silver Creek's only church like a heavy hand, but inside the air was even thicker, suffocating with judgment and whispered scandal. 19-year-old Rosemary Fletcher stood at the altar, her fingers trembling around a bouquet of wildflowers already wilting in the heat. The dress she wore, borrowed from a neighbor, hung loose on her small frame, its lace collar scratching against her neck like a noose tightening. She hadn't slept in 3 days. Beside her stood Jackson Thornwood, the wealthiest rancher in 3 territories, 36 years old, broad-shouldered, silent as stone. She'd met him exactly once, 2 weeks ago, when a stranger named Garrett had brought him to her father's failing homestead. The deal had been simple, brutal in its simplicity. Jackson would pay off her father's crushing debts, all of them, the bank, the land office, the merchants. In exchange, Rosemary would become his wife. She hadn't been asked, she'd been told. "Do you, Rosemary Ann Fletcher, take this man?" Her throat closed. Every eye in the church burned into her back. The town had come to witness her humiliation, dressed up as a wedding. Through the window, she could see the road leading out of Silver Creek. 12 steps to the door. She'd counted them. But her father sat in the front pew, head bowed, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. She opened her mouth, and the words that came out would seal her fate forever. But what Jackson Thornwood whispered next made her blood run cold. "I will," not "I do." The entire congregation stirred, confusion rippling through the pews like wind through wheat. The preacher blinked. "I'm sorry, Mr. Thornwood. The proper response is—" "I said what I meant, Reverend." Jackson's voice was low, steady, unmistakably firm. "I will honor this woman. I will protect her. But I won't claim to do what I haven't earned yet." Rosemary's head snapped toward him, startled. His jaw was set, his eyes fixed straight ahead, refusing to meet hers. What kind of man made a distinction at his own wedding? The preacher cleared his throat nervously. "Very well. I now pronounce you man and wife." No one moved. The silence stretched unbearably. Jackson finally turned to her, offering his arm. His hand was steady, unlike hers. As they walked down the aisle together, Rosemary felt the weight of every stare, every whispered judgment. Sold her like livestock. Poor thing didn't even have a choice. Wonder how long before he breaks her. Outside, the summer sun blazed mercilessly. Jackson helped her into a wagon, his touch careful, almost hesitant. When his hand steadied her elbow, she flinched. He noticed, and immediately stepped back. If you're enjoying this story of courage in the Old West, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold tales of the frontier. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. As the wagon rolled away from Silver Creek, Rosemary sat rigid, her new husband silent beside her. The Thornwood Ranch stretched out before them, vast and intimidating. "You afraid of me?" Jackson asked quietly. She didn't answer, couldn't. "Good," he said, and his next words changed everything. "Because I need you to understand something about why I really agreed to this marriage." The Thornwood Ranch rose from the valley like a fortress, 2 stories of timber and riverstone, windows gleaming in the afternoon light. It was grander than anything Rosemary had ever known, grander than she'd ever imagined living in. Jackson helped her down from the wagon. "I'll show you inside." The house smelled of pinewood and leather, masculine and lived in. A massive stone fireplace dominated the main room. Leather-bound books lined one wall. Everything spoke of money, but also of loneliness. "Kitchen's through there," Jackson gestured. "Pantry's stocked. My foreman Caleb goes to town Thursdays if you need anything." Rosemary nodded, still silent. He led her upstairs, down a wide hallway lit by oil lamps. He stopped at the second door. "This is your room. Your room. Not our room." She stepped inside. A 4-poster bed, a wardrobe, a washstand, and on the door, a heavy iron lock. Jackson pointed to it. "Use it whenever you want. I won't knock unless you ask me to." He paused. "You understand what I'm saying, Miss Fletcher? "It's Mrs. Thornwood now," she whispered, the name foreign on her tongue. "Only if you wanted to be," he said quietly. "The paper says we're married, but respect, that's earned, not bought." He left, closing the door softly behind him. Rosemary stood frozen, then crossed to the door. She turned the lock, heard it click home. Then she sank onto the bed, staring at her trembling hands. Downstairs, she heard Jackson moving around, heard dishes, smelled something cooking. An hour later, she found a plate outside her door. Fresh bread, cold chicken. A note in neat handwriting. "Eat when you're ready, no rush." But what Rosemary didn't know was that Jackson Thornwood had secrets of his own. Secrets that would explain everything. 3 days passed like shadows. Rosemary moved through the house like a ghost, avoiding Jackson when he was inside, staying in her room when he was near. They'd spoken perhaps a dozen words since the wedding, but she noticed things. He rose before dawn, always. Coffee was always brewing when she came downstairs. He left fresh bread on the kitchen table. He never pressed, never demanded, just existed quietly around her. On the 4th morning, she found him at the kitchen table, ledger open, coffee steaming in a tin cup. He looked up when she entered. "Morning, morning, morning." She poured herself coffee, hands steadier now. To her own surprise, she sat down across from him. They sat in silence, not comfortable, but not hostile either. "Why?" The word escaped before she could stop it. Jackson set down his pen. "Why what? Why did you agree to this? To marry someone you'd never met?" He leaned back, studying her with those unreadable grey eyes. "Man named Garrett came to me 6 weeks back. Said he had a business arrangement. Told me you were 19. From a respectable family fallen on hard times. Said it would benefit both sides. And you just agreed?" "I said I'd consider it." He paused. "I'm alone here, Mrs. Thornwood. This house is too big for one man. Thought maybe it would be good to have someone to share it with. But you didn't know." Her voice cracked. "You didn't know I had no choice." Something flickered in his eyes. "No, I didn't know that until I saw your face at the altar." Rosemary told him everything then. The drought that killed their crops. Her father's debts piling up like stones. The bank's foreclosure notice. Garrett's offer. Her father's tears. The impossible choice that wasn't really a choice at all. Jackson's jaw tightened with each word. "If I'd known," he said quietly, "I would have," but he never finished. Because what he was about to reveal would change everything she thought she knew about him. "I would have paid the debts anyway," Jackson finished, "without the marriage." Rosemary stared at him. "What?" "Your father didn't need to sell you, Rosemary. He needed money. I have money." His voice was steady but tight with controlled anger. "Garrett told me this was your choice, that you wanted security, wanted a fresh start." He lied. "I know that now." Jackson stood, paced to the window. "And I'm sorry. If I'd known the truth, we wouldn't be here. But we are here. We are." He turned back to her. "So what do we do about it?" Before she could answer, a knock interrupted them. Caleb, Jackson's foreman, stood at the door holding an envelope. "From town, boss. The church ladies." Jackson read it, his face darkening. Without a word, he walked to the fireplace and threw it in. "What was it?" Rosemary asked. "Invitation. They want to throw you a welcome reception this Sunday." Her stomach dropped. "We have to go." "No, we don't." We hope you're loving this story. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see how this unfolds. Comment below and let us know where you're watching from and what you think Jackson should do next. That night, unable to sleep, Rosemary crept downstairs for water. She found Jackson on the porch, alone, holding something in his hands, a photograph. "Couldn't sleep either?" she asked softly. He didn't hide it, just handed her the photograph. A woman with kind eyes, dark hair, a bundle barely visible in her arms. "Her name was Sarah," Jackson said, "my wife, and our son." Rosemary's breath caught. "They died 5 years ago, childbirth. The baby, he didn't make it either." And suddenly, everything made terrible, heartbreaking sense. "I married you because I was tired of being alone," Jackson said quietly. "That's the truth. But I didn't marry you to replace her. No one could. They sat in silence, the summer night warm around them. Crickets sang, stars wheeled overhead. "Do you still love her?" Rosemary asked. "Every day." He looked at her then. "But grief doesn't mean you stop living. Sarah wouldn't want that. Neither would my son." Something shifted in Rosemary's chest. This man, this stranger who'd become her husband, was carrying his own unbearable weight. "You're a good man, Jackson Thornwood. Town might disagree. Town doesn't know you. And you do?" She considered. "I'm starting to." The next morning, Rosemary came downstairs in a split skirt and practical blouse, hair braided for work. Jackson noticed, approval flickering in his eyes. "Need help with the fence line?" she asked. They worked together that afternoon. She held posts. He drove nails. Her hands blistered, but she didn't complain. "You're stronger than you look," Jackson observed. "I've had to be." That evening, Reverend Hayes came calling, an older man with too much concern and too little genuine kindness in his eyes. "Mrs. Thornwood, the ladies are hoping you'll join them for the social Sunday. Quilting circle. Tea. Christian fellowship." Rosemary's stomach tightened. Jackson started to speak, but she cut him off. "I'll think about it, Reverend." When he left, Jackson looked at her. "You don't have to go." "I know, but maybe I should." "Why?" "Because I'm tired of hiding. And because," she paused, meeting his eyes, "because I'm not afraid anymore." Sunday came too fast. Rosemary dressed carefully, like a woman going to war in Sunday clothes. But what waited for her at that church social would test everything. The church parlor smelled of lavender and false sweetness, tables laden with pies and tea. A dozen women in their finest dresses, smiles sharp as knives. The room went quiet when Rosemary entered. Mrs. Dalton, the banker's wife, approached first. "Mrs. Thornwood, how lovely you could join us. Thank you for inviting me." At first, it was bearable. Talk of recipes, weather, whose daughter was courting whom. Rosemary sipped her tea, tried to breathe. Then Mrs. Dalton leaned forward, voice dripping with poisonous concern. "So, Rosemary dear, tell us, how does it feel to be purchased?" Every woman turned, every eye fixed on her. "I'm sorry?" Rosemary's cup rattled against the saucer. "Well," Mrs. Dalton's smile was vicious, "everyone knows your father sold you to settle his debts. We're just curious. What's the going rate for a young woman these days?" Another woman, younger and meaner, laughed. "At least Thornwood paid well. Your father got a good price, didn't he?" The room spun. Heat flooded Rosemary's face. "Must be nice," another woman chimed in, "having a millionaire solve all your problems. Though I suppose you had to earn it somehow." The implication hung in the air like smoke. Rosemary stood. The chair scraped loud in the sudden silence. "My father was desperate," she said, voice shaking but steady. "Your husbands would have let us starve. Jackson Thornwood gave me a choice. That's more than any of you ever offered." Mrs. Dalton's smile faltered. "We're only concerned—" "No," Rosemary interrupted. "You're cruel. There's a difference." She walked out. Didn't run, didn't cry. Head high, spine straight. 2 miles home. She walked every step. Behind her, the town watched through lace curtains, whispered, judged. But when Jackson saw her walking up the road, what he decided to do next would shake Silver Creek to its foundations. Jackson found her on the porch, hands shaking, jaw tight with barely controlled rage. "What happened?" he asked quietly. She told him. Every word, every sneer, every cruel insinuation. His face went cold, not angry, something harder than that, controlled, dangerous. "They won't talk to you like that again," he said. "You can't control what people say, Jackson." He took her hand, first time he'd touched her beyond steadying her on a horse or helping her over rough ground. His grip was warm, solid, real. "No," he said, "but I can make sure they hear me louder." She looked at him, saw the resolve hardening in his eyes. "What are you going to do?" "Something I should have done from the start." He squeezed her hand gently. "Trust me." "I do." He didn't let go. Neither did she. That night, Rosemary sat on her bed, staring at the packed bag she'd pulled from the wardrobe, staring at the letter she'd written in careful, shaking script. "Dear Jackson, I'm leaving. Not because of you, but because of me. Because I don't want to be the reason they turn on you. Because I don't know how to be someone's wife when I was never given the chance to choose it. Thank you for your kindness. I won't forget it. Rosemary. She folded it, set it on the nightstand, looked at the bag. Then she looked at the door, unlocked now every night. A bridge she'd built herself. What was she doing? Dawn came grey and cold. Jackson found her in the kitchen, bag at her feet, letter on the table. He picked up the letter, read it, looked at her. You're free to go, he said quietly. Always were. Her eyes filled. Then why do I feel trapped? By what? By this, she gestured helplessly. By you being kind. By me wanting to stay, but not knowing if I should. And Jackson's answer would change everything. Jackson crossed the room, stopped a few feet away, close but not crowding. Why did you marry me? Rosemary asked, voice breaking. Really? Not the loneliness, not the house. Why? He was quiet a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw with honesty. Because when I saw you at that altar, I thought maybe we could both stop being lonely. Maybe we could both start over, not as strangers bound by paper, but as two people choosing each other. He paused. But I know you didn't choose me, Rosemary, so I'm asking now. Choose. Stay or go. Either way, you're free. She looked at him, this man who'd given her safety, patience, kindness, who'd stood between her and the world's cruelty, who'd asked for nothing but her comfort. If I stay, she whispered, what then? Then we face them together. Not me protecting you, not you hiding. Together, she closed her eyes, felt the weight of the choice settle in her chest like an anchor finding bottom. Then she picked up the bag, unpacked it, crumpled the letter. I choose you, she said. Jackson exhaled, slow and steady, relief flooding his features. Then let me do something for you, for us. What? You'll see. Sunday. The week passed in a blur. Jackson rode to town twice, met with the land office, had papers drawn up, came home with documents he wouldn't show her. Trust me? He asked. Yes, she said, and meant it. Saturday night. They sat by the fire. Jackson handed her coffee. Tomorrow, he said, I'm going to make a statement in front of the whole town. Her heart seized. What kind of statement? The kind that'll silence them. The kind that'll show them you're not mine to own. You're mine to honor. And Sunday morning, when Jackson Thornwood stood before the entire congregation of Silver Creek, what he did next became legend. St. Mary's Church stood white against the summer sky, its bell ringing clear across the valley. The whole town gathered. Same pews, same faces, same whispers. But today was different. Rosemary sat in the front pew, hands folded, heart pounding so hard she thought everyone must hear. Jackson sat beside her, calm as stone. The service began. Hymn sung, scripture read. Then, before the sermon, Jackson stood. Reverend Hayes looked startled. Mr. Thornwood, with your permission, Reverend, I'd like to say a few words. Hayes hesitated, nodded. Jackson walked to the front, pulled a folded document from his coat, faced the congregation. The church went silent. Most of you know that Rosemary came to me through arrangement, Jackson began, voice steady and clear. Some of you think I bought her. Murmurs rippled through the pews. You're wrong. He unfolded the paper. What I bought was her father's debt, paid it in full. What I gave Rosemary was a way out. What she gave me, he paused, was a second chance at something I thought I'd lost. He held up the document. This is the deed to the northern quarter of my ranch. 300 acres, water rights included. As of yesterday, it's registered in Rosemary Thornwood's name. Hers alone. If this story is touching your heart, show us some love with a like and subscribe. We want to hear from you. Comment below and tell us where you're watching from and what you think of Jackson's gift. Gasps, whispers, shock rippled through the church like thunder. She can sell it, work it, or walk away from it. And from me, any time she chooses, Jackson continued. She's not my property, she's my partner. He looked directly at Mrs. Dalton, at every face that had judged them. If any of you have something to say about how we came together, you say it to both of us, together. But Rosemary wasn't finished. She stood, and what she said next silenced the town forever. "I came here with nothing," Rosemary said, her voice soft but steady. Every eye turned to her. "Jackson gave me everything, not land, not wealth, dignity, choice, safety." Her voice grew stronger. "I'm staying because I want to, because he's a better man than most of you deserve, and because," she looked at Jackson, "because I choose him." She sat. Jackson took her hand. The silence stretched, breathless, electric. Then Mrs. Porter, the oldest woman in town, stood slowly. "I was wrong," she said clearly, "about both of you, and I'm sorry." One by one, others nodded. Some looked ashamed, some skeptical, but the venom was gone. After the service, people filed out quietly. A few stopped. "That was a good thing you did, Thornwood," one rancher muttered. "Wasn't about being good," Jackson said. "Was about being right." Outside in the summer sunlight, Rosemary turned to him. "You gave me land. I gave you freedom." He smiled. "What you do with it is yours to decide." She kissed his cheek, soft, brief, genuine. "Thank you." Spring came early the following year. February thawed into March. Rosemary stood in her garden, dirt under her nails, planting apple saplings. "Those won't be ready for years," Jackson said, leaning on the fence. She grinned. "Then it's a good thing I'm not going anywhere." He came to stand beside her. "Need help?" "Always." They worked together, digging holes, setting roots, covering them gently. The sun warmed their backs. That evening, they ate supper together at the kitchen table, not across from each other, but side by side. "You ever regret it?" Rosemary asked. "Marrying me?" He set down his fork, met her eyes. "Every life has regrets, Rosemary. You're not one of them." Her throat tightened. "Good, because you're the best decision I ever made." And as the sun set over Silver Creek, two people who'd been strangers found something neither expected. They walked her land at sunset, 300 acres stretching toward the mountains, hers by deed and by choice. They stopped at the fence line between her property and his. "Want me to take it down?" Jackson asked. Rosemary shook her head. "Leave it." "Why?" "Reminds me I chose to cross it." He looked at her. This woman who'd come to him frightened and forced, who'd become someone fierce and free. "I'm proud of you," he said quietly. "I'm proud of us." He kissed her forehead. She leaned into him. The apple trees swayed in the breeze. Somewhere, a meadowlark sang. "You think they'll grow?" Rosemary asked, nodding toward the saplings. "I know they will." "How?" Jackson smiled. "Because you planted them, and you don't do anything halfway." She laughed, bright and genuine and free. Thank you for watching this incredible true story from the Old West. If you love this tale of courage and redemption, make sure you've hit that like button and subscribed for more untold stories from history. Comment below one more time and let us know where you're watching from and what part of this story touched you most. We love hearing from you. They walked back to the house as the sun painted the sky gold and rose. The door stood open. Lamplight spilled warm across the porch. Inside, the fire crackled, coffee brewed. Home waited. Rosemary paused on the threshold, looked back at the land, the sky, the horizon stretching wide and free. Then she looked at Jackson. "Ready?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "I am." They stepped inside together. The door closed softly behind them. And in the house where two strangers once stood, silent, laughter finally found a home. Summer had brought them together, but it was choice, real choice, that made them whole.